Episode 10, Scenes from the Spectrum podcast. The NBA season of 2021-22 finally came to its conclusion last night, and let's talk about it.
Here's Ilyasova. Here's McConnell. Can he get it off? Yeah! And the Sixers win it! 7 seconds to play. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win!
Oh, Mark Zumoff's angelic voice greeting you on this beautiful Friday, June 17th episode of Scenes from the Spectrum, powered by PhillySportsToday.net. I am SixersGraeme. He is SixersJustin. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We took 2 weeks off, but we're back, and we got some news for today.
Let's get this out the way first. Justin, it is now curtain time. It's 22 minutes past noon. We set it for 11 a.m. start. Why don't you let the people know why we're an hour and 22 minutes behind schedule? Is it the Drake album you were listening to last night?
Might have put me to sleep.
Oh,
for a long time.
But we're here, and that's all that matters. And a lot of things have happened in the last 2 weeks. We're here to talk about them. We got some headlines for today's show. Producer Tony, hit the music. Oh, the beautiful headline music. You said it. Golden State in 6 games over Boston. They are the 2022 NBA champion. Steph Curry gets his finals MVP. The Celtics go down, and it was fun for me because when the Celtics lose, the world wins. Keith Pompey dropped some bombshells in an article he dropped, and most of it was completely false. We'll get into that. And we want to give a very, very special shout out, a very special happy birthday to the Sixers' very own George Niang. How about that? Niang today on June 17th turns 29 years old. And he's looking like he's about to turn 40 in a couple weeks. So how about that? George Niang, the fat man that shoots threes, also known as the minivan.
He just looks like a normal dad out there on the basketball court.
I mean, the dad bod's going crazy. No ounce of muscle definition on his body. I mean, he is peak male performance, George Niang.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's like the Daniel Vogelback of the NBA. My baseball fans know what I'm talking about. But
I have no idea who that is.
Tony, find a picture of Daniel Vogelback and put it on the screen later in the show, please. Anyways, Golden State 4-2 is the series overview here. Main takeaways, and I know we're going to get into some Steph Curry talk because, he finally got his finals MVP. But the Celtics, they were up 2-1. They feel like they had control, and things just started falling apart.
I think, Anna Horford gets some of the blame after her Twitter
Horford, rant. Right? We're not adding any extra letters in there for the people that want to clip this and put it on Twitter.
No, I just think the Celtics, their main core of Tatum and Brown are just too young, and I like to say not built for the moment, and they just weren't. Jason Tatum felt like he had a billion turnovers, and they couldn't get the job done, and the veterans on the Warriors could. That's really all that happened.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Ime Udoka in the first 3 games of the series, and he had the master plan. He was out coaching Steve Kerr, and Steve Kerr didn't necessarily out coach him the rest of the series. He just let his veterans do the work. I think Draymond Green was, I saw a tweet yesterday that said that him hitting the 3 might be the first ever first quarter dagger, and that's what it felt like. But you're like Draymond hitting a 3 in the first quarter of an elimination game for Boston in Boston, that felt like it took the air out of the arena very quickly in the first quarter. But I think the veteran presence of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, Steph Curry, knowing what it takes, being there, and having doing it in the past, and that they know what it takes to do it, even when you're down in a series. Not necessarily just the finals. You look back, they were down 3-1 against OKC, and they've come back. So they've faced adversity in the finals before, and I think that was a big part of the role that they got on after they went down 2-1. And you also look at the freshness of guys like Andrew Wiggins, who've came in. They played in a great final series when they were asked to do a lot as a wing player. As an opposing team, when you go against the Celtics, you were asked to do a lot on not only the offensive end, but the defensive end. I think Andrew Wiggins showed out.
Yeah, and I really liked what I saw from Jordan Poole. I mean, I loved the memes about Jordan Poole where we're saying, "Oh, he's got the girls sitting courtside. He's got a ball up." But they have a great little young core there. Plus, they have veterans like Curry, Clay, and Draymond. It's such a good team, and it kind of feels like the dynasty is never going to end.
Oh, I mean, you look at, the dynasty, it's gone through so many things. You look at, Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston when they were first getting started, 2015. They've gone through Harrison Barnes, but Draymond, Clay, and Steph have been the common denominator through the whole thing, going through Kevin Durant. They had some off years. They had D'Angelo Russell on a Warriors team. That feels like it was forever ago. You don't even remember that. And then they trade away D'Lo and they get Wiggins, and he starts to put things together. And you look through the play-in tournament exits and not making the bubble and things like that, and they still were able to put things together and win another championship. That just speaks volumes to not only the team but the organization of Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to them in winning their fourth ring in 8 years.
Yeah,
I think it is.
That's so tough to do, and it's not like I said, it's not like they were in the playoffs every single year. They went through some rough patches, and they were still able to get to the top of the mountain. Which is
they were a lottery team a couple years ago with D'Lo on that team.
I mean, they drafted James Wiseman in the top 5. Like, this is a team that was literally in the lottery. So it's huge for them. They've gone through injuries. Steph Curry's gone through injuries. Klay Thompson's gone through injuries. Draymond Green has gone through some rough patches, but they all put it together at the right time. And that's just crazy to think about their success when you put it in the span of the last decade. It's definitely a dynasty, one of the better dynasties that the NBA has ever seen at this point. And they've gone through a KD team on the East. They've gone through a KD team in the West. Not necessarily that they played them, but, they've had to fight some tough competition. They've had to fight a LeBron team in the West, a LeBron team in the East. They've gone through so much. They've seen the rise of the Suns. They've seen the Clippers try and take over the West, and they just, let everybody know that it's still their conference, still their association. So yeah. I think that the Warriors, what they've been through the last 8 years, and still to this day being able to win a championship against some young guns and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who were bringing the Thunder early on, and Jason Tatum kind of falling off at the end. That's what I want to talk about next. JT, you want to think that maybe he ran out of gas, maybe he was playing injured because he just was not himself down the stretch of any of the close games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I do say not built for the moment, and I do think that came true. I mean, you see plenty in kind of all sports, you've seen plenty of times where young guys just drop in that big spotlight, and I guess that's exactly what happened to Jason Tatum. He's been playing great all playoffs, and then the finals came, and he kind of went downhill from there. I don't expect to see that again from him. I'm not sure if the Celtics have it all to reach the finals again, because I feel like the East is going to get better and better every year. But he just didn't play well, and I don't think there's an injury to blame or anything. It's just he wasn't feeling like himself, and he just wasn't playing well.
We've seen a lot of comparisons to this Celtics team as being more or less like 2012 OKC. Do you think that the Celtics will ever get to this point again where in the finals and they have a chance to win, the world championship for basketball in the next 5-6 years. When you look at the rise of the Raptors are trending up, the Heat are obviously doing what they're doing. We don't know about the Nets. We'll see what the Sixers do when Harden gets fully healthy. Do you think that the window of opportunity for the Celtics was really, really close and this was their chance?
No, I don't think their window is closed at all. I think for the next few years, especially with Tatum and Brown being both under 26 years old, I'm pretty sure it is. They're both very young, have a bright future. They've shown that they can play together. They have Marcus Smart with them. I don't think you're going to see that same Al Horford next year at all.
Yeah.
But I don't think their championship window is closed. I feel like if they'll see at least one Eastern Conference Finals in the next few years, possibly the finals. But yeah, their window is wide open.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like that they're going to be a household name in the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe in the finals for the next 4 or 5 years when you've got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And, we'll see what Marcus Smart has. But you got a first-year coach. You got a first-year guy in the front office, and Brad Stevens. He still has work to do. And I think that, they're going to have to make good moves and get good contracts if they want to be successful and build around their two cornerstones in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You look at the success that Rob Williams has had. Grant Williams has played really well down the stretch of the playoffs. So I think that they've got some good pieces. Just how well will they build around them? What will their bench pieces be like? Derek White, even though that he wasn't phenomenal in the finals, he had a really good season. When they traded for him, they kind of went on a big run. They won like 20 of their next 27 games or something like crazy like that. So I think they still have a lot of stuff to do offseason wise, building around the team, but they just ran into a really good Warriors team that was making their shots, and they showed they had more resiliency than the Celtics. That's really what it came down to. When the Celtics got punched in the face, they kind of fell down a little bit easier than the Warriors did when they got punched in the face. And, when it comes down to the NBA Finals, you could throw a record or who you got on your team out the window. It's just a dogfight and it's a grind. And the Warriors were just more equipped to play that style of basketball down the stretch of games than the Celtics were.
Yeah, and I think if the Celtics pretty much played any other team in the West, I believe they would have won the finals. But, the Warriors are just that good, and the dynasty just hasn't died. And Curry, Draymond, and Clay just going out there and doing their business. So I think the Warriors were the one team that could take the Celtics down, and they did it.
Now, we talked about the Celtics' future. Let's talk about the Warriors. Was this their last chance to win an NBA Finals?
Absolutely not. I do believe they will be back at least one more time. I mean, listen, they are getting a little old, but they're at a prime male peak age. All right.
Debatable.
So plus Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, they got Kuminga, young guy,
Wiseman,
James Wiseman, who hasn't played at all this year due to injury. They do have a really bright future and also really good veterans. So I don't think their window is closed. I think it's wide open, just like the Celtics.
I think that they have one more year max, and it's tough to go back to back. And I really just don't think that, the cornerstones of Klay Thompson and Draymond Green can really keep up their level. It would take a Jordan Poole to take off. And he has had his ups and downs like crazy, one of the most inconsistent players in the playoffs this year. And you got like major leaps from Wiggins is going to be the key for them, because Draymond's on the decline. We've already seen the decline from Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry can only do so much. And it's not like he relies on his athleticism a lot where, his decline is going to be rapid. But I feel like, Steph Curry, he can't keep playing the way he is forever. And it's going to start pretty soon on his decline. I hope not. I love watching Steph Curry the way he plays the game of basketball. But when you look at the scheme of things, I feel like you got one more year, maybe two, but it's so tough to go back-to-back, even back-to-back finals, which makes what LeBron did in the East a couple years back so impressive. Going to the finals in back-to-back years, much less winning the finals, is so tough in today's NBA when you play the whole 82-game schedule and then you try and get 16 wins in the playoffs. It's almost impossible. So I think that you could have another chance for the Warriors, but they're going to have to go through some tough teams. You look at the Suns that are getting a lot better. We don't know what the Clippers will look like fully healthy and Tyronn Lue's the coach. The Lakers will be interesting to see what they do, and because at the end of the day, they're still going to have Anthony Davis and LeBron James on their team, and there's still plenty of really, really good teams in the West that they're going to have to look out for. The rise of Luka Doncic in Dallas in a couple of years, I feel like Houston will be a juggernaut again. Oklahoma City's got a bright future. There's a lot of teams in that West they're going to have to go through, and they're not at the best they could possibly be. They might be second-round exits or Western Conference final exits. I really think that the window is not completely closed, but it's the most open it'll be within the next 6 years, and it's good they won the finals on this year.
Yeah, and I agree. And back to what you said about the Mavericks, we haven't talked about this yet, but trade went down a few nights ago, and the Mavericks received Christian Wood for, if I remember off the top of my head, it was Boban and a few other players. I know the Rockets just got absolutely fleeced, but, their backs were against the wall. Christian Wood was going to walk away. So, better to get something than nothing. But I think Christian Wood is a really good player that the Mavs got, and I think he'll contribute right away.
I think he's going to be a great lob threat playing alongside someone like Luka. You take away the starting minutes from Dwight Powell, and you really reconstruct the work of the Porzingis trade, and you get someone like Christian Wood. You could put the pieces back in play and build around Luka, which is the whole main goal of the Mavericks right now. I think they did a good job with that trade, and only time will tell. You look at Christian Wood and Luka and Dorian Finney-Smith, and they're probably going to have Jalen Brunson locked up for a number of years. It's going to be fun to see. On paper it looks fun. Once they put it to the basketball court, we'll see how it translates, and only time will tell with that. But on paper, it looks really nice for the Mavericks, and they're going to be up there. Another team I didn't mention, the Grizzlies, are only going to get better with John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, and them. So, again, the West is going to tighten up, and the Warriors, they found, a good stretch of games, and they got hot at the right time, and they won their championship. But even with, Clay and Draymond, those veteran presence guys, not playing to the level they should be, a championship level, I just don't think at their age they can possibly do it any longer. Maybe 1 year, but after that, the West is just going to be so competitive for them. Unless, something major happens, it trades and free agent signings go, more than we could ever imagine, and the NBA just goes crazy like it did 3 off seasons ago. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening where, the Warriors, like I said, they have maybe 1 year, and going back-to-back finals is almost impossible.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but you never want to underestimate the Warriors when it comes to making moves, because they've shown it time and time again.
Yep. Trading D'Angelo Russell to the Timberwolves pretty much won them the NBA championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a big time trade right there that goes down. They get Wiggins, who a lot of people have already written off, and now he's performing in the finals like that. That's one of the moves that you look back and you're like, wow, that was a big time trade.
Yeah, and kind of moving on to more Sixers news. Keith Pompey dropped a big article talking about a lot of things, like what the Sixers offseason moves are going to be, what they're doing with certain players like Tobias, Matisse, Shake Milton. And Keith Pompey reported that league rumors were that the Sixers were not going to pick up Shake Milton's $1.9 million club option. And you know what happened less than an hour later? The Sixers picked up Shake Milton's $1.9 million club option. So if you're watching and you listen to Keith Pompey for news, don't do that.
Yeah. Scenes for the Spectrum is way better than Locked On Sixers. I promise.
Yeah. Keith Pompey is not that guy. I mean, hey, I met him once, got a picture with him, but he is not that guy to go.
He's more of a meme than a reporter at this stage of his career.
Yeah, I love to joke about Keith Pompey, but don't trust him as a source.
That Shake Milton flow. I think that Shake Milton, it's good to pick up his club option. I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer. Like when Keith Pompey came out with that, you're like, what exactly do the Sixers have up their sleeve? Because that's frightening when you hear about Sixers having something up their sleeve. Last time I heard that, we gave Al Horford a horrible contract. So I think that I think that's good that you just keep Shake Milton, you keep him around. I feel like he's a good piece. You can't get much better from a just nice bench value asset that you could keep him, you could trade him, you could do a lot of things. You just need to have him on the roster and have him healthy. So it's good to have that for Shake Milton. I'm a big believer in Shake Milton. He can give you 30 if any given night. He could also give you 2 points all from the free throw line while he goes 0 for 9 from the floor. But I still like Shake Milton. I feel like he has a lot to prove still. He's played well in the playoffs. He had a really good game against the Hawks this time last year. So I think that's big for Shake to stay on the Sixers because he still has a lot to improve on it and a lot of haters that he's got to quiet up.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big Shake Milton guy. I love him coming off the bench. He missed a month or two this season due to, I think it was a back problem. He got kneed in the back by, I think it was Drummond.
He missed some time and he came back and he showed glimpses of like the Shake Milton against the Clippers that we all fell in love with, but I just feel like there's more for Shake in his career, and I want that to be in Philadelphia because we know when Shake's on his game how good he can be, and I just do not want to see that happen in any jersey but the Sixers.
Yeah, and kind of staying on the topic of Keith Pompey, we saw a big giant number.
Numbers I never want to see again in my life.
A big giant number next to a specific somebody's name. And you want to know who that specific somebody was? Matisse Thybulle. Graham, do you want to tell us that number?
No, I don't. Tony, can you put it up on the screen? Because I really, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
I'll read it for the
like my eyes are bleeding.
List. I'll read it for the Spotify listeners. It says, however, team president Daryl Morey is said to be a fan of Thybulle, who is heading into his final year of his rookie deal. Thybulle is also working out with the Sixers skills development coaches in Arizona. He will be eligible. You ready for this? He will be eligible for a 5-year, $186 million extension this summer. Yes, you heard me right. $186 million extension. But he does say, while it's unlikely that he'll get that extension, his status with the team is something to pay close attention to. I mean, okay, listen, I get it. All right, he's eligible for it, but why does that have to be said? Why is that even thought of? Why would you ever write down that Matisse Thybulle is eligible for $186 million? I never want to hear that again or see that number again.
Yeah, it's frightening to say the least. I think that it's just like, why even put that out there for people to think about? I mean, I understand, like, you got to, he's eligible for it, but like, don't even mention that because that's nightmares. That is, if Daryl Morey does that, and that's an offense you can't forgive if you give Matisse Thybulle that contract. He won't. I believe that he won't. And I think that Matisse Thybulle probably won't be on the team much longer because you look at, there have been rumors of star hunting. We'll get into that a little bit later. But Matisse, to me, if you know me, I think he is probably the most overrated Sixer in the last couple years, probably since Ben Simmons. And
absolutely.
I think that his defense, while it's good at times, there are so many things wrong with his defense, so many things that he does that just irks me on defense. And he makes great plays. Like, he's a good defender, don't get me wrong, but he's not all defensive second team. He's not a better defender than Joel Embiid. At no point in Matisse Thybulle's career has he been the best defender on the Sixers. He spent, the most part of his career as the third best defender on the Sixers. And I still think that the way he gambles to the ball, his off-ball movement being a roamer can be good sometimes, but he just falls asleep. He tries to be in the passing lanes too much. He gets backdoor cuts so often. He's not always a step ahead on defense, what you want to see from one of your all-defensive guys. And, yeah, he makes phenomenal blocks. He has great, awareness defensively. But sometimes he just makes the wrong decision because he's trying to do too much. He gets beat off the dribble by some of the best ball handlers. And I know it's tough to stay in front of the best ball handlers, but when you're all defensive second team, that's what you're expected to do. And he gets blown by a lot, and he has trouble staying in front of his man. But when he's behind his man, he's like the best defender we've ever seen in the NBA from behind. But he just doesn't do the simple things like staying in front of his man, just playing lockdown defense and putting players in a box. And that's what really makes me mad about Matisse, is that he's so good at the hard things. It's just the simple things he does. He just lets a lot to be desired.
Yeah, and don't get us wrong. Matisse is a solid player. We critique him a lot because we know the potential that he has and the kind of player he can be. You rarely ever see defenders like this. I mean, he is a world-class defender, but just, the IQ, the defensive IQ is just, it's not at the level it needs to be. Like Graham said, he gambles a lot, and that is not at all what you want. And you saw it in Game 7 of the Hawks series where he gambled, fell with Kevin Huerter at the 3-point line, and that was one of the major reasons why we lost that game.
Yeah.
So the potential is there. The IQ needs work. The decisions, everything. And everything offensively,
we haven't even spoke about his offensive talent or lack thereof.
Everything offensive, Matisse needs to work at: shooting, passing,
setting screens,
dribbling the ball, like everything. Yeah. So he's got a busy off season, and to stay on the topic of Matisse Thybulle, there was a report that came out. It was a few weeks ago that the Chicago Bulls were interested in Matisse, and he was showing interest from a few other teams around the league.
Zach LaVine?
Zach LaVine, come home.
I think that he's going to have interest because of the talent that he has and the potential that he has. But it's just there's so much offensively that he doesn't even reach. And defensively, while people think he's very good, he has so much to work on defensively. And it's like I said, it's the simple things that he just doesn't have, a great gauge on right now at this stage of his career. And why I think that he can't just be a guy you could go and say lock down him. Steph Curry's different. I feel like Steph Curry fits in the realm of like perfect for Matisse to guard because he's constantly running around. He's not going to take you on the dribble. He's going to find a spot and try and shoot over you, and that's what Matisse likes. So everybody's going back to like, well, he locked down Steph Curry. But like, well, it's completely different because Steph plays unlike any other player in the NBA's history. So I think that Steph Curry kind of played it to his hands that one game. Massively overrated since then. He gets beat off the dribble. He got beat off the dribble by Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, all these guys that are great players, but we look at an all-defensive second-team type of player, you need him to lock those type of guys down. And Joel Embiid's rim protection is far more valuable than anything that Matisse Thybulle does defensively.
Don't forget to mention Luka Doncic putting Matisse in a blender for 48 minutes straight.
Yeah. It's just the best of the world that he just has trouble going against, and he had one good game against Steph Curry. He played great against Steph Curry. Like, that's hard to do. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. It is extremely hard to do what Matisse did to Steph Curry. He can't do it on a nightly basis, and against a traditional guard that likes to take you off the dribble and stretch out the defense. Matisse is left on an island sometimes, and he doesn't know what to do, and he gets blown by, and easy buckets are to counter that from other teams. And it's just – it just hurts you because you know how good he could be if he just did simple things well.
Yeah, and we've seen flashes of it, just flashes, but he needs to put in work this offseason, and hopefully if he's not traded, I'm not saying I hope he doesn't get traded, but if he doesn't, then hopefully we'll see a different player. But I would still like to see him traded. Do you want to add something?
Yeah,
real quick?
we got some. We're gonna go back to the finals for a second. Anytime something happens in the finals and it's major, like a team winning, Twitter just loses their mind, and Twitter's hilarious for the most part. And we had some tweets of the night. I think Tony could put some of these up on the screen. We had
I have not seen these.
We have a lot of people that have chimed in. I think Tyrese Maxey there it is. Welp, he tweeted. That was pretty funny as the Celtics were down like 20 at that point, poking fun at the hated Boston Celtics. We had our friend Aiden Doc, friend of the show. Al Horford and the Celtics lost 3 straight once his family dropped the hate article on Philly.
See, that's what I was talking about earlier. Exactly what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and Horford is definitely to blame for that. And I think Devontae Smith had a tweet. I don't think we have the picture of it, but Devontae Smith had a tweet saying that JT just wasn't built for it, kind of like what you were saying. It's just.
I definitely put a little troll tweet out last night. I said the Celtics win the finals with Markelle Fultz.
I saw that. I saw that.
Tatum was drafted after Markelle Fultz, so Celtics could have had a ring right now if they drafted Markelle Fultz. Their loss.
We have a very active Twitter user here, and that's our producer Tony. Tony, I just want to get your gauge. What was the Twitter landscape like last night after the final whistle? Just like when the buzzer sounds, what was the landscape of your Twitter?
It was a lot of Jason Tatum slander. Mm-hmm. I saw a little like Steph Curry like trolling, obviously because it's first Finals MVP. A lot of people were talking about Kevin Durant, which I think is a pretty underrated aspect of things because obviously there was the whole debate, him and Curry, like who's better all time. I think it's kind of clearly Curry, but that's just me. But right after, I mean, obviously there was the Drake album, so kind of people were kind of looking towards that. But I mean, my Twitter timeline was kind of what you'd expect after, a team wins and or loses finals,
Yeah, nothing special, but it was funny. It was just your regular Twitter humor. We could say that. Yeah, I think it was a pretty fun time for the guys just to chime in as Sixers fans and poke fun at the Celtics because we're never going to miss an opportunity to do that. I think you had a good tweet about Markelle Fultz, made me chuckle. Yeah, you're right. I mean, maybe they do win with Markelle Fultz the way Jason Tatum played.
And kind of back to the Sixers. A lot of stuff dropped in that Keith Pompey article. Yeah. Things such as, we'll start out with the star hunting. The Sixers are still, after getting James Harden, are still star hunting, trying to find that third star. What are your thoughts?
I don't like it. I think we need role players. I think we have a star, and his name is Tyrese Maxey. Not a star yet, but he will be a star.
He's still developing.
I think year 3 Maxey will just go crazy. But you look at Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. Those 3 I feel like are good enough centerpieces to win a championship. It's how you build around them, and that's what the Sixers need to do. Instead of trading Tobias Harris for a star, trade him and package him for somebody. You get 2 really good role players. How about that? I mean, I think that's more or less the route you need to take if you're the Sixers.
Yeah. What do Sixers fans complain about every single year? We need a better bench.
A lot of things. Yeah.
Our bench. Well, yeah, but like the main thing is our bench sucks. Yes. Like trade for role players, but you're sitting on Twitter and saying, oh, we should go star hunting. We need this third star, and I understand that stars. And talent wins championships, but you can only go so far with a bad bench, right? And that's exactly what we need. Why go out and get a third star when you can build an entire supporting cast for Embiid, Harden, and Maxey?
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think the supporting cast is going to be the main thing that the Sixers will need to work on. And like I said, Embiid in his prime, you don't need people taking the ball away from him. We've already got Harden, we've already got Maxey. Let's get people that complement those guys and what they do on their basketball skill set. I think it's pretty simple to me. I don't understand what the point is of trying to get a quote third star. I don't understand the appeal to it per se.
Yeah, just go out into this free agent class and put some work in, get guys to come here, and I know, and you know, I believe that we are one of the hot spots for free agent class, especially now that Harden's here. People want to play with Harden and Embiid, and now maybe Maxey. Just we have very good talent. We do not need another star here. Just build the bench, and I think, and I've been saying this ever since we got Harden. This year coming up is our year.
Yep. You've been saying it, and although I thought that we had a good chance this year at the trade deadline, once we got Harden, that we could have gone all the way. And you look at the success that the Celtics had, could have easily been the Sixers if things fell in the right direction. But this year is definitely the year. At the top of your list for role players that the Sixers could get to beef up the roster a bit, who would that be? Because I got a name in Barnes. I got a name in mind. You're gonna say Harrison Barnes?
Harrison Barnes.
Okay, I like that.
That's like my number one option.
I would have gone Patrick Beverly, but I would take both of those.
I thought he has a year left. On
Yeah,
his
you
deal.
can still trade for him. We got Shake Milton now, don't we?
Yeah. I would love a guy like Pat Bev on our team. I mean, just kind of that FU energy that Embiid has talked about a few times, and the Sixers do not have that guy. And I mean, it was Embiid a few years ago, but he isn't that guy anymore. So just Pat Bev would be great.
Yeah, I really think that having someone like a Pat Bev that just could just spark things up is exactly what the Sixers need at this time. We're gonna move on. Last segment. I mentioned it was George Niang's 29th birthday, and I said that he was the Daniel Vogelback of the National Basketball Association. And if you watch baseball, you know who Daniel Vogelback is. Tony, do we have Vogelback here so we could show the people the big beefy? Oh, there he is. Look at him.
There
big
he is.
Beefy. He hits tanks, strikes out a bunch, plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, look at the beef on that guy. That is peak male performance. That's really cool for Niang, though, on his birthday, celebrating a Celtics loss. I think he's a Massachusetts kid, though, so I'm not sure how he's celebrating.
Ooh, is he?
I believe so, yeah. I believe he's a Mass kid. But he's a Sixers through and through. Come on, he's the minivan. He's loved here in Philly. He loves Philly. He understands how to play in Philadelphia.
I absolutely agree.
I agree with that, yeah. We talked about you listening to Drake earlier in the podcast. It put you to sleep. You didn't wake up till like noon.
All right, listen. I'm just gonna talk about this for 30 seconds. All right. It wasn't a rap album, and that's okay. No. It was a dance album. All right.
Huh?
And
I wasn't dancing, but okay.
I was dancing. I was certainly dancing. I kind of liked it.
I mean, I get it. Just because it's a bad rap album, because it's not a rap album, it could still be a bad dance album. Like, have you ever thought about that?
It's not a bad dance album, though.
I didn't like it. I did not. The last song was good with 21 Savage.
Oh,
that's a banger. But you can't have 12 bad songs and one good song and call it a good album.
I would call
the. Come on, wait.
I would call the only bad song on the album the second song on the album. I don't know the name. I forget the name of it. It's the second.
You were asleep while you were listening, probably.
It was the second song on the album, and that was the only bad song. Every other song, bro. The song called "Sticky." I love that song.
Okay, all right. Well, you talked about the second song being the worst. We have some evidence. You were calling it fire and you were listening to the intro, there you go on your Instagram
All
page.
right.
You're on the intro,
All
and you're
right.
saying "sheesh" with the
Cause
fire emoji.
Because it's out. It's out. So sheesh. It's fire.
You were listening to the intro, and you were proclaiming it to be good.
Because the intro was fire already. No lyrics,
was like
nothing.
10 seconds.
I know. It was so
And then
fire.
you just heard the worst song after that, and you were expecting people to agree with you.
I'll put fire emojis next to anything he makes.
Right.
Come on.
Okay. All right. That's all we got today. Hope you enjoyed episode 10.
Whoa, we got one more. We got one more thing. We got one more thing.
Oh, Justin, what are you going to talk about?
Philly.
Oh,
the World Cup.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The World Cup is coming to Philly. Philadelphia won the bid, and now the World Cup is coming here. It's also
in South Philly.
It's also going to be at MetLife Stadium for all the North Jersey people out there. Boo! But
Much.
I'm 100% going to a game.
Yeah.
Just remember, it is in 2026. That is 4 years from now. But I'm very excited.
Yeah,
so
get your tickets now.
Yeah, that's kind of the last thing I had to say.
We'll have a Seeds from the Spectrum meetup there, the World Cup 2026. All right, that's
Absolutely.
it. Are we sure that's it before we could wrap this up?
Yes.
June 17th, episode 10, Scenes from the Spectrum. NBA Finals just concluded. We talked about that. Covered a lot of things from Jarek Allen to George Niang birthday. Hope you guys have a good one. We should see you next week if Justin wakes up in time.
I will certainly be up in time.
Peace.
All right, everybody, follow the socials, everything. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.